What if I told you that the Boston Celtics almost made one of the biggest mistakes of the Brad Stevens era? Yes, Payton Pritchard, now one of the most important players off the bench, was almost traded. Just imagine, the Celtics could have been without one of their key reserves, a guy who has been crucial to the rotation. But what really happened? Why did Stevens consider trading him? And most importantly, did Boston make the right decision by keeping him? Stick around, because this story is more surprising than it seems. The Celtics have always valued young talent, but with Pritchard, things seem different. Why did the coaching staff not see his potential? The truth is, in his first few years, Pritchard experienced ups and downs in the rotation. As Stevens himself revealed, he played a lot as a rookie, lost minutes in his second season, and then regained playing time late in the year. This back and forth creates instability for any player, and for the Celtics, who were looking to strengthen the roster, he seemed like a valuable trade asset. Now think about it. If you were the GM, would you hold on to a player who was barely getting minutes, or try to acquire a more established piece? That was the dilemma in Boston. But what no one expected was the twist that was about to unfold. What made Stevens change his mind? Why did the Celtics bet on Pritchard? The answer lies in the player's mentality. Instead of accepting a secondary role or pushing for a trade, he worked hard to prove he deserved a spot on the team. When given opportunities, he brought energy, consistent shooting, and a much more aggressive defensive presence than many anticipated. But the key moment came when Boston realized that Pritchard wasn't just a solid reserve, he was essential to the team's identity. His intensity, reliable shooting, and ability to impact the game in limited minutes made him a difference maker. As a result, the Celtics not only decided to keep him, but also rewarded him with a 4-year extension. Now, imagine if Stevens had made the wrong decision and traded Pritchard. Would the Celtics bench be as strong as it is today? The bigger question, should the Celtics be more careful with their young talent? Pritchard's story is a perfect example of how player development can be unpredictable. How many other talents could have been wasted if the team hadn't been patient? And more importantly, will Boston make this mistake in the future with other promising young players? This situation raises an important debate about roster management. Many teams trade young players for immediate upgrades, only to regret it later. But Stevens showed that sometimes patience and trust in the process pay off. Now, Pritchard is a key piece for both the present and future of the franchise. The Celtics nearly made a decision that could have changed the entire dynamic of the team. But what do you think? Did Stevens make the right call by keeping Pritchard? Or should he have taken the risk on a trade? Imagine being a key piece on a team, chasing back-to-back NBA titles, while also being on the verge of leaving. Al Horford might be playing his final games for the Boston Celtics, but does that make sense? How can the team lose such a valuable veteran and still remain dominant? The issue isn't just talent. The Boston Celtics are facing a financial crisis within the NBA's rules, and someone might have to go. And guess what? Horford's name is at the top of the list. Let's break down why his future in Boston is uncertain and what it means for the team moving forward. Can the Celtics afford to keep Horford? Boston already has one of the most expensive rosters in the league. Next season, their payroll is expected to exceed $500 million, including contracts and luxury taxes. The NBA has implemented strict rules to prevent excessive spending, and the so-called second apron places heavy restrictions on teams that surpass certain financial limits. At 38 years old, Horford will become a free agent and could re-sign for a minimum contract to help ease the team's financial burden. But would he accept that? Other teams are willing to offer better deals, with offers starting at $6 million per season. What weighs more, money or the chance to end his career competing for championships? Is Boston about to repeat a past mistake? In 2019, Horford left the Celtics to sign a massive contract with the Philadelphia 76ers. It was a disaster. He never fit in and was eventually traded. 2 years later, Boston brought him back, and he became a crucial piece in the front court. Could history repeat itself? The difference now is that Horford has already won a championship with the Celtics and might prioritize stability and legacy over one last big contract. But what if a contender makes a tempting offer? Could he turn it down? Can Boston win a championship without Horford? This season has proven that Horford is still essential. He stepped up when Porzingis was injured, played a key defensive role, and maintained his efficiency as a shooter. Statistically, he remains one of the most productive veterans in the league. But here's the dilemma. If Boston wants to cut costs, they may have to rely on younger players to fill his role. Without Horford, does the front court become too fragile? Can the rotation survive a full season without a solid replacement? Who should the Celtics trade? Horford, Holiday, or Porzingis? If money is the main issue, the Celtics could look elsewhere to make adjustments. Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis are also considered potential trade pieces. Moving one of them would significantly reduce payroll, but could also make the team less competitive. The big question is, does Boston really need to sacrifice a key player? Or is there another way to keep this roster intact? The next few months will be crucial for the Celtics' future. If Horford agrees to a smaller contract, he could retire in Boston. If he seeks more money, he may be on his way out. But what do you think? Should the Celtics do everything they can to keep him? Or is it time to start planning for a future without him? Boston Celtics and Kristaps Porzingis, a combination that was already working but is now evolving to a new level. But have you noticed something different? In recent games, Porzingis has been doing much more than just spacing the floor and finishing plays. He's becoming the focal point of the offensive creation. What led to this adjustment? And more importantly, could this be the key to a back-to-back championship? In the first months of the season, Porzingis was essentially a luxury floor spacer. He would stay on the three-point line waiting for passes or attack mismatches in the post. But now, the numbers confirm what the eye test already suggested. Porzingis is much more involved in playmaking. In March, his touches on the ball increased by 20% and his passes went up by 28%. This is no coincidence. The Celtics are gradually adjusting their offense to take advantage of his versatility. It's a risky move, but also an incredibly promising one. Are we witnessing a new role for him, or is this just a temporary tweak? Comparing any NBA big man to Nikola Jokic is complicated, but we can't ignore it. Porzingis is taking on responsibilities that resemble the reigning MVP's role. In the win over the Kings, we saw clear examples of this. First, he initiated plays by receiving the ball at the top of the key, something that would have been unthinkable before. He read the defense and distributed passes, creating space for Jaylen Brown and Derek White to cut to the basket. In another sequence, he held the ball in the post, drew a double team, and found Tatum cutting through the middle. These are actions we're used to seeing in Denver, but now they're happening in Boston. But is this sustainable? Or are we just seeing a small experiment that won't last? The big question is this new role for Porzingis helping or hurting Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown? After all, they are the team's primary playmakers. The early signs are promising, with Porzingis acting as another facilitator. Tatum has found more space to play off the ball, moving without it and finishing with quick cuts. Jaylen Brown, on the other hand, has benefited from handoffs with Porzingis, leading to more efficient attacks at the rim. But what happens when the playoffs arrive? Opposing teams could exploit this change and try to force mistakes. Are the Celtics ready to trust Porzingis as a facilitator in high-stakes games? Porzingis as a playmaker could be the X factor that elevates Boston to an even higher level in the NBA. The biggest advantage is that it makes the team more unpredictable. Before, if Tatum or Brown weren't playing well, the offense could stagnate. Now, there's another player capable of creating and distributing the ball. But there's also a risk. What if this new system falls apart? What if, in the playoffs, teams manage to take Porzingis out of his comfort zone and force him into mistakes? Are we witnessing a lasting change or just an experimental phase before the postseason? What we're seeing could be the beginning of a new era for Kristaps Porzingis and the Boston Celtics. If this evolution continues, he could be the key to breaking down defenses in the playoffs and increasing Boston's title chances. But what do you think? Can Porzingis sustain this new role? Or is this just a temporary adjustment? Hey, Celtics fanatics! What do you think of this news? Leave your opinion in the comments, as it's highly valued.